Nigeria Customs Service all over the years, just as something to whet our appetite. History has it that Nigeria Customs Service, as we know it, started in 1891. And according to the archives, the National Archives, Nigeria Customs Service collected duties on merchandise and species to the tune of £516, £516,000, 817, which is equivalent of about 604.7 million naira at the current exchange rates, excluding historical inflation. So this is what is recorded as the beginning of customs revenue in Nigeria. Let's flip over to 1960, the year of independence. And according to a report of the Board of Customs, the value of customs duties has grown significantly to £55,918,367. 3 decades later, by 1990, when the department operated under the Ministry of Internal Affairs, our revenue figures had reached 9.2 billion naira, which marked a significant evolution in our collection capacity. However, by 2014, we had started progressively crossing the billion naira mark, and in 2017, we have shown consistent demonstration of capacity for growth and adaptation in revenue collection. As at the end of 2017, we have achieved an historic milestone by crossing the 1 trillion naira mark. And in 2017, we collected 1.037 trillion naira, exceeding our target by an impressive 34%. This was the achievement that set the foundation for even greater milestone in the subsequent years. In 2022, we continued our march into the trillion naira mark as we crossed the 2 trillion naira threshold. That year, we collected 2.6 trillion naira. Though this was a significant increase in revenue collection, we must acknowledge that in that year, we recorded a 14% shortfall from the 3 trillion naira target set by the federal government. So in 2023, in maintaining the upward trajectory, the service further demonstrated its growing capacity by crossing the 3 trillion naira mark by collecting 3.2 trillion. This also fell short of our 3.6 trillion naira target by 13%. But despite the shortfall, it is a significant expansion of our revenue collection capacity. And this was what laid the groundwork for our performance in 2024. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is against this backdrop of consistent growth that I therefore present to you our achievements for the year 2024, a year that has seen the service crossing into new heights in both revenue collection, trade facilitation, and enforcement capacity. Let me start with revenue performance. I am indeed pleased to announce that the service has again recorded another unprecedented performance in revenue collection in the year 2024. During this year, we collected a total sum of 6 trillion 105 billion 315 million 543,489 naira 50 kobo. This performance surpassed our target of 5.079 trillion by 1,265,677,404 Naira, which represents 20.2% increase over and above our target for 2024. This remarkable achievement represents a significant 90.4% increase from our 2023 collection of 3.2 trillion naira. This growth is historic as it marks the highest year-on-year increase recorded by the service in recent times, surpassing the 52.24% growth recorded in 2022 by 38.18%. Additionally, we recorded another milestone in October 2024 when we had the highest monthly collection ever in the history of Nigeria Customs Service to the tune of 603,171,859,991.97 naira. Now, the total I have just mentioned in 2024 comprises three main components. The first was the federation accounts, and we had about 3.6 trillion. The second was the non-federation accounts levies, where we had 816.9 billion. And the third component is the value-added tax, where we collected 1.6 trillion naira. It is pertinent to note that these collections were achieved despite significant concession granted to support various sectors of the economy. And this totaled in 2024, it totaled 1,382,302,648,880 naira 67 kobo. These concessions comprise 723 billion on import duty waivers and 372 in other levy concessions and 586 billion in import VAT concession. These strategic concessions were granted to stimulate economic growth, to support industrial development, and enhance the overall business environment in line with government objectives. Notably, the 2024 concession, if we compare it with previous year, the value represents a significant reduction from the 3,959 billion which we recorded in 2023. So the concession in 2024 was 1.6 trillion. In 2023, the year before, it was 3.9 trillion naira. So this reduction is a direct result of enhanced monitoring mechanisms and strategic reforms aimed at blocking loopholes and eliminating abuses in the concession granting process, ensuring that only genuine and qualifying enterprises benefit from these incentives. I must also report that there is continuous engagement with the Federal Ministry of Finance and its officials to ensure that only those who are deserving of these concessions get them. These achievements in revenue generation were made possible through our continuous alignment with the policy objectives of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu under the astute guidance of the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Lawale Edu, support of the board and the management and the entire staff of Nigeria Customs Service. Having said that much on revenue, let me quickly go on to our performance in trade facilitation. And at the beginning of the year, we made several commitments towards modernizing our operations and enhancing service delivery. Despite our impressive revenue performance, we remain conscious of the need to strike a healthy balance between revenue collection and trade facilitation. This balance was evident in our commitments at the beginning of the year and also served as a milestone for gauging our performance throughout the year. These were further reiterated during the CG's conference, which was held later in the year. Let's look at the performance of trade. The data that we have reflects significant growth in trade value despite the global economic headwinds. We processed imports with a value of 60.29 trillion in 2024, representing a remarkable 117.4% increase from the 27.74 trillion in 2023. This was achieved through 1,262,988 import transactions, handling a total weight of 15.35 billion kilograms. The higher value, which we recorded, despite an 8.2 decrease in transaction volume from the previous year's 1.3 million transactions, indicates a shift towards higher value goods in our import trade portfolio. So the value of the goods that were imported in 2024 was significantly higher than those of 2023. Our export trade performance was equally impressive, with the total value rising significantly to 136.65 trillion in 2024 from 42.77 trillion in 2023, marking a 219% increase. So in 2023, the total value of exports stood at 42.7 trillion. In 2024, this has grown to 136.65 trillion, representing 219% increase. While the number of export transactions remain relatively stable at 38,199 compared with 38,294 in 2023, we witnessed a substantial increase in export volume, processing 12.35 billion kilograms in 2024 compared to only 3.7 in 2023. So this 234% increase in export mass, that is the weight, coupled with the higher value, indicates a robust growth in our export trade and suggests increasing competitiveness of Nigerian products in international markets. So in both the value and the absolute number, we recorded over 200% increase. And our understanding of this is that Nigerian trade is doing better, our competitiveness is higher, and Nigeria Customs is providing all the support necessary to achieve these better numbers. Now, in terms of the trade volume, that is if we combine imports and exports, which we handled by the service in 2024, this amounted to 196.94 trillion compared to only 70.5 trillion in 2023, representing 179.3% increase. This substantial growth in trade value, achieved with fewer but more valuable transactions, is evidence of the increasing sophistication of Nigeria's international trade and the effectiveness of our measures that we put in place to encourage imports and exports. In line with our pledge to adopt global best practices in trade facilitation and improve operational excellence and enhance security, I am pleased to report significant progress in implementing this commitment. The service successfully implemented various measures to enhance operational efficiency through modern procedures enabled by the new Nigeria Customs Service Act. Let me just highlight some few of these key achievements and the impacts that they created. The first is the advanced ruling system. The advanced ruling system was launched early 2024 as it introduced a pre-arrival classification and value mechanism that provides binding decisions to importers before shipment. And this will ensure predictability in their customs transactions. The system represents a significant shift from post-arrival classifications to pre-arrival decisions, thereby reducing delays and disputes in the clearance processes. During the first year of implementation, this system recorded 60 account registrations, and we received 38 applications for rulings on various aspects, including those on classification, valuation, and other clearance-related concerns. Out of these 38 applications, 15 rulings were successfully issued, covering transactions that was worth 102,929,244,384 Naira in duty paid value, while 23 of these applications were outrightly rejected due to various factors which might include insufficient information, incomplete documentation, post-importation requests, unverifiable transaction values, unclear sales agreements. To enhance participation and understanding of this initiative, we have scheduled a comprehensive stakeholder sensitization program which is going to start in a couple of days in Lagos. The second major initiative in trade facilitation is the Authorized Economic Operator Program, AEO. The pilot phase of this program has demonstrated significant improvements in cargo clearance time, with those AEO certified companies achieving an average release time of 43 hours, which is 5 hours better than the target clearance time of 48 hours. This represents a remarkable 66.9 reduction in cargo clearance time compared to pre-AEO status, where clearance took 5 days and notably outperforms the regular economic operators who require 7 days for clearance. Given these impressive results, we are set for full implementation of this program in the first quarter of 2025. The third intervention is that of the time release study and international partnerships. Our study has been concluded and the report is currently under review with plans for its release before the second quarter of the year. Additionally, our enhanced strategic partnerships with various customs administrations worldwide are yielding results through intelligence sharing, leading to major interceptions in our ports. These partnerships have also opened up our capacity building opportunities for our officers, and it has provided a groundwork for expanded engagements in the months ahead. The fourth factor responsible for our performance in trade facilitation is the advancement in the provision of technological infrastructure. In a significant strides towards digital transformation, Customs has commenced pilot testing of its indigenously developed customs clearance platform with the support of our concessionaires under the Trade Modernization Project. This platform, named Bodogu, was developed in the fourth quarter of 2024. The platform, which represents a major milestone in our digital capabilities, was initially deployed at the PTML command for pilot testing. The early results have been very, very encouraging, with the platform processing transactions resulting in an aggregate revenue collection of 31 billion naira as of December 2024. It is indeed gratifying to see how homegrown solutions are gradually enhancing our operational efficiency and ensuring seamless trade facilitation. There are a number of other initiatives that we have taken, and I just quickly run through some of them. Next is stakeholder engagement initiatives. Under the framework of the Global Customs Communities theme, focusing on enhancing traditional and new stakeholder engagement in 2024, we intensified our engagement with existing stakeholders while forging new partnerships. We strengthened collaboration with partner government agencies and expanded our stakeholder base through new partnerships. Notable amongst this was our collaboration with the Healthcare Federation of Nigeria, HFN, which has led to the establishment of a working group aimed at addressing challenges in the clearance of medical goods. This strategic partnership, relevant partner government agencies in the health sector, aligns perfectly with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration's policy focus on healthcare accessibility and affordability. You may all recall that there was an enabling order from Mr. President in the course of the year. The outcome of these engagements have been encouraging, and we are optimistic that they will contribute significantly to making medical supplies more affordable for Nigerians through improved clearance processes that reduces administrative bottlenecks. And then we also have our support for small and medium enterprises and for export trade facilitation. In recognition of the opportunities presented by the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, we implemented various trade facilitation initiatives to support small and medium-scale enterprises and exporters. These efforts contributed significantly to the robust participation of Nigerian brands at the prestigious Biafra African Forum in Kigali in October 2024. It was particularly gratifying that our innovative approaches received recognition from the AFTA Secretariat, culminating in an invitation to share Nigerian experience at the forum. It's also gratifying to note or recall that the growth in the exports numbers which we exhibited earlier is due to this kind of initiatives that has been recognized by the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade. One of the high points of our trade facilitation initiatives was the significant recognition received both locally and internationally throughout the year. There are so many of them, but I will just mention a notable one, which was the service's remarkable improvement in the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council PEBEC ranking, where we advanced 33 places to emerge joint top 5 agencies in the ease of doing business, which validate our reform initiatives and tangible improvement in our cross-border trade facilitation, despite notable security concern. This sums up what we have done in revenue and trade facilitation. Let me now proceed to our report card on our anti-smuggling and enforcement front. In addition to balancing revenue collection with trade facilitation, there was also the security dimension arising from global and national actors that impacted the service mandate to protect the society from the entry of harmful substances and exit of restricted items. We adapted our strategies to those evolving security challenges, and it resulted in this 3,555 seizures throughout the year, with a dramatic 100.92% increase in the value of these seizures from 17.56 billion in 2023 to 35.29 billion in 2024. These seizures, with a value of 28.46 billion and a total duty of 6.83 billion, highlights the scale of attempted economic sabotage which was prevented by the service in 2024. The recorded seizures included traditional and emerging risk to Nigerian economic and overall national security. However, we must not forget to mention seizures like those of arms and ammunition, including 900 arms and 113,472 rounds of ammunition, and the interception of narcotics and other illicit drugs, resulting in 105 seizures across various forms that were aided by the declaration of state of emergency at our major entry ports. The service also intercepted unauthorized pharmaceutical products with 40 seizures, including 176,676 pieces and 6,271 cartons of various medicaments, all valued at 3.04 billion naira, thereby protecting public health from potentially dangerous counterfeit drugs. Our enforcement activities also revealed evolving patterns in environmental and wildlife crimes, with 76 seizures of animal and wildlife products, which were valued at 5.93 billion. We also maintained vigilance over trade-sensitive goods, as evidenced by the seizure of 183,525 bags of rice in 2024. Additionally, significant seizures were made of other restricted items, including 3,785 bales of textile valued at 945.9 million, and various quantities of footwear, beverages, and other consumer goods, thereby protecting local industries and supporting the government's economic diversification agenda. The service also recorded 397 seizures of vehicles valued at 5.64 billion naira as we continue to enforce regulations and protect government revenue. The mounting sophistication of smuggling networks also necessitated a corresponding elevation in our enforcement capacities, leading to enhanced collaboration with national and international partners and the deployment of advanced detection approaches. Worthy of note is the launch of Operation Whirlwind with the support of the Office of the National Security Advisor and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority under the Nigerian Petrol Corporation Limited, NNPC Limited. This operation, that's Operation Whirlwind, resulted in the seizure of significant quantities of petroleum products totaling 1,716,656 liters from economic saboteurs diverting petroleum products intended for home use to our neighboring countries. More significantly, our enforcement activities have yielded 55 arrests of suspects currently under investigations as we continue to dismantle criminal networks behind the smuggling activities that we talked about. There is no doubt that we have maintained a comprehensive approach to enforcement, and this approach aligned with both national security objectives and international obligations, which positions customs as a crucial actor in the nation's security architecture as we continue to facilitate legitimate trade. To further strengthen our capacities, we are actively expanding our technological infrastructure through the integration of geospatial intelligence technology and other cutting-edge solutions. These advancements, coupled with capacity building and enhanced intelligence gathering mechanisms, will significantly boost our surveillance and enforcement operations in 2025. The integration of these modern tools and our existing frameworks is a strategic investment in the future of customs enforcement to ensure that we always stay ahead of emerging threats as we continue to facilitate legitimate trade. Let's also give an account of strategic capacity development and strategic human resource management. In 2024, we maintain our commitment to strategic human capital development, recognizing that our workforce remains our most valuable asset in achieving our mandates. Our capacity development initiatives was structured to enhance both individual competencies and organizational capacities, ensuring that our officers are well equipped to meet evolving customs administration challenges. So in the area of career progression, for example, we sustain our commitment to merit-based advancement through prompt conduct of promotion exercises. I am pleased to report that in 2024, a total of 4,291 senior officers were elevated to new ranks, while 1,419 junior officers also earned their promotions, making it one of the most comprehensive exercises in recent years. Notably, our career advancement program featured the exposure of newly promoted controller cadre officers to strategic leadership courses, preparing them for higher responsibilities in customs administrations. We also strengthen our human resource base through various capacity building initiatives. Our programs were strategically designed to align with modern customs practices, covering areas such as risk management, post-clearance audits, valuation, classification, and enforcement techniques. We leveraged our international partnerships to expose officers to global best practices through virtual and physical training sessions with partner customs administrations. As we look into the future, we have commenced the process of recruiting new officers to strengthen our workforce. The service opens its recruitment portal to receive applications from prospective recruits, marking the beginning of a comprehensive exercise to inject fresh talents into our operations. This drive is strategically designed to address succession planning while bringing in needed skills for our modernization agenda. Our investment in human capital development remains central to achieving our modernization objectives and maintaining high standards of service delivery. We will continue to prioritize capacity building and career development as essential components of our organizational strategy. Let's now briefly look at infrastructure and facility development. During the year, we witnessed significant progress in our infrastructure development agenda. A major milestone was the commencement of our phased relocation to the new corporate headquarters building where we are holding this press briefing. This transition, which began in the fourth quarter of 2024, is expected to be completed with full operations running from this location before the end of the first quarter 2025. Beyond this particular building project, we have maintained momentum in developing critical customs infrastructure across the country. These investments are strategically positioned to enhance our operational efficiency and service delivery at key points of our operations nationwide. Of particular importance is the approval for the establishment of the Nigeria Customs University for Trade and Technology in Badagry, Lagos. This proposed institution is envisioned to become a center of excellence for customs and trade-related studies, contributing to capacity building in Nigeria and the West African sub-region. In furtherance of the modernization agenda, we have sustained investment in technological infrastructure. The delivery of the new scanning equipment at our major ports is another significant step in our non-intrusive inspection capacities. These scanners will enhance our cargo examination processes. They will reduce clearance time while maintaining robust security protocols. This infrastructure development aligns with our commitment to modernizing customs operations and facilitating trade while ensuring effective enforcement of regulations. The completions of all these projects in 2025 will significantly improve our working environment and operational efficiency across all our commands. And now, as I wind up, let me mention something about our commitments to corporate social responsibility. We have maintained our commitment to responsible corporate citizenship throughout 2024, recognizing our dual role as a government agency and as an integral part of the communities where we operate. Our activities within host communities have extended beyond our core mandate to include active participation in and support for various community development initiatives. Throughout the year, we maintained constructive engagement with host communities across our areas of operation, supporting local development projects and participating in community-focused activities. These engagements have helped to strengthen the bonds between the service and the communities that we serve, while facilitating a better understanding and cooperation in the execution of our mandate. And looking ahead to this year, we are set to launch a comprehensive CSR program strategically aligned with President Ahmed Tinubu's presidential priority areas and the United Nations SDGs Sustainable Development Goals. This alignment ensures that our community interventions will contribute meaningfully to national development priorities while supporting global sustainability objectives. The program has been structured to deliver measurable impact in key areas that intersect with both national priorities and community needs. And what are our outlooks for 2025? As we move into this year, our strategic priorities have been carefully aligned with national economic objectives and the evolving global excuse me. I think our plan for 2025 did not take into consideration that the microphone can go off. One of the things that my back staff told me before I came down for this was that I should take my lunch before I come. And anticipating a long afternoon, he said I should eat lunch before I come. And I wasn't too sure if I should eat mine before members of management who have come here to sit down before me. It didn't take me long before I realized that the push for me to take lunch was inspired more by selfish interests of people who are hungry in my office, rather than the interest of this press briefing. Outlook for 2025. And as we move into this year, our strategic priorities have been carefully aligned with national economic objectives and the evolving global trading environment. The federal government has set an ambitious revenue target of 8 trillion naira for the service, a target that reflects both the government confidence in our capacities and the expanding scope of our operations. We approach this challenge with determination, building on our achievements in 2024 and leveraging our enhanced capabilities. Our strategic priorities in 2025 will therefore focus on the following 5 key areas. The first will be the full deployment of our trade modernization initiatives, including the nationwide rollout of the Bodogu platform. The second would be the complete implementation and the rollout of the Authorized Economic Operator Program. In fact, we are planning to roll out this program across all our commands on the 14th of February 2025. The third priority would be the enhancement of our risk management and enforcement capacity through technology integration. For those of you that attended our annual conference, one of the things that resonates was the charge given to us by the Director General of the World Trade Organization to enjoin us to integrate more of robust risk management in our operation so that we can reduce human intervention in our port operation. The fourth is what I've spoken to about, would be the operationalization of the Nigeria Customs Service University for Trade and Technology. The fifth pillar will be strengthening of our international partnerships and trade facilitation initiatives under the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement framework. And six would be the implementation of a rollout of a robust CSR strategy aligned with the pillars of the presidential priority areas and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And finally, as we are doing now, we will seek and continue to promote open governance through enhanced transparency, stakeholder engagement, and public access to customs information and processes. Several transformative projects are scheduled for completion or initiation in 2025. The full implementation of our new corporate headquarters, the deployment of additional scanning systems at key seaports, the launch of our corporate social responsibility program will all be prioritized. All these projects, alongside our ongoing modernization effort, will significantly enhance our operational capacity and service delivery. Our agenda will continue to emphasize digital transformation and process automation, the expansion of our geospatial surveillance capacity, integration of artificial intelligence in risk management, and enhancement of our data analytic capacities will remain central to our efforts. These advancements will be complemented by continued investment in human capacity development and infrastructure. We recognize that achieving these objectives require the continuous support of our key stakeholders and the dedication of our officers. We are confident that with our enhanced capacity, committed workforce, and support of all stakeholders, we will not only meet our expectations in 2025, by the grace of God, we will exceed them. As I conclude this briefing, I wish to express my profound gratitude to His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for his continuous support and strategic guidance of the service. Our appreciation must also go to the Honorable Minister of Finance, Coordinating Minister of the Economy, and the Chairman of the Nigerian Customs Service Board for his astute supervision and the guidance of the board to support our initiatives. The achievements which I have outlined today would not have been possible without the dedication and commitments of our officers and men across all our commands. Their resilience in the face of challenges and commitment to duties have been instrumental to our success. I want to assure all officers and men of the service that we will continue to recognize and reward excellence, as deserving and outstanding officers will be acknowledged throughout and through our reward and recognition systems. At this moment, we cannot but solemnly remember our fallen heroes, officers and men who paid the ultimate price in service to our nation. Their sacrifice in protecting our borders and economic interests would never be forgotten, and their families will remain in our thoughts and in our prayers. The dedication of these late heroes to duty inspire us to remain steadfast in our commitment to safeguard our national interest. To all our stakeholders, the trading communities, partner government agencies, international partners, and the media, your collaboration and support have been invaluable. Our achievements in 2024 are as much yours as they are ours. We count on your continued support as we pursue our agenda and strive to meet our objectives for 2025. I therefore, in conclusion, would like to call on all of you to strengthen our partnerships as we work together to achieve our mandate. Together, we are confident that we can build a more secure and prosperous Nigeria through effective customs administration and trade facilitation. I thank you all for staying through with us through this press conference, and may God bless you all. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Nigeria Custom Broadcasting Network, permission of the CGC to entertain one. Federal Ministry of Finance have not published. 32,000 tons of brown rice came in under a program. Please, can you confirm that? And our enter in the
1,600 and something thousand naira.
For Vanguard. You have given us what appears to be a very... You didn't have any challenges?
before we invite others from...
Necessary at the middle of the year by the federal government to address the prevailing food inflation that we had in the country. About 6 items were listed, but people tend to look at only some few parts of it. So let's get it very, very clear. So there are items like wheat, there are items like grains, there are items like, so there are some items that are direct, that can be directly consumed, whereas some of those items are also inputs for further manufacturing. And I think it's only when we get that distinction very clear that we will understand that there are some other objectives behind this beyond just granting 0% concessions. Wheat has always been a very, very important part of bulk cargo. And you know how many uses wheat can be deployed. Wheat is not just consumed directly. Wheat goes into further processing. And this is one strategic import that people in the food and beverages sector uses. Of course, implementation has been ongoing, and I'm happy that Onyinye actually talked about the fact that there was a particular importation. This importation that we are talking about came in December. It came in, I think, in the middle of December, and that particular one was horse rice. Government, in its wisdom, decided that they were not going to allow polished rice because there are some interests, some local farmers, some local millers who are also in this business, and their interest will be compromised if we just allow on wholesale importation of these items. So implementation is in progress. I'm sure at the appropriate time, just as we requested, Federal Ministry of Finance can give a total data of those who have benefited from this. John raised a very, very interesting dimension. He wanted to us to bring the dimension of the foreign exchange into this conversation. For us in 2024, the major issue about foreign exchange is not about the rate. It is about the volatility. And this is what we have addressed several times. There is no going back on government's policy of abolishing the dual exchange rates and using the single exchange rate system, which the central bank is a leading agent currently. We do not have any problem with it. The concern that we expressed throughout the year is the total number of times that there's the frequency of changes. And we have data in 2024 that this changed a total number of 153 times. 153 times was the time that we had to get into our system and making adjustments as dictated by central bank. Q4, the fourth quarter was particularly bad because we had 50 changes, But if we look into the numbers as you have requested, now I look at the exchange rate in 2023. You are looking at the difference. The exchange rate in 2023 was about, average exchange rate was about 718.9 to the dollar. In 2024, you quoted some figures. You know that these rates were not stable. But when we looked at the total exchange rates, the average that we got in 2024 was 1,524 Naira. That was the average exchange rate when we put all of those changes together in 2024. So averagely, there was an increase of about 100% in the exchange rates from 718 to about 1.5. Now, I need you to take a second look at our revenue profile. We moved from about 3.2 in 2023. We moved to 6.1 in 2024. So on the average, that's about 100-point-something%. So you cannot hold the increase in the revenue down to only the foreign exchange, the foreign exchange rate. There are other figures that we can also, have a conversation about, but this one is particularly very germane. There will be a lot of studies to be done to see, what are the critical drivers, what are the critical drivers of our revenue collection. In the course of my presentation, I also talked to you about the value and the volume of import and export that we have. The truth, from our perspective, is that trade has blossomed under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There are a lot of interventions that have been given, there are a lot of interventions that have been provided, and this is providing the necessary stimulus. All this data that we are giving you does not take into consideration the 1.6 trillion Naira concession. And this was also due to some kind of economic policies, making sure that the healthcare remain in production, making sure that those who benefit from Chapter 99, who bring in industrial products, machineries, and all of that. So if we did not concede that particular 1 point, the obligations which it has freely committed itself to, we have been out of that contract agreement, and some of the major commitments have not been done. And this is why we are seeking an indigenous solution to our problems. That's why we have to go and come up with Bodogu, an indigenous platform to manage the processes of imports and exports. Our funding is also a major problem. Funding, because the budget for 2024 was predicated on 4% free on board, FOB. However, because that has not taken off, we find ourselves still implementing 7% cost of collection. So we had a budget performance of something in the region of 34%. By all consideration, this is still very low, but the source of funding is still a major problem. One major challenge that we have in 2024 was the management turnover. I've had the opportunity to mention this at different fora. And this has started since 2022. In 2022 alone, 60% of the management as we had left the service. In 2023, in 2023, 60% of them left. And that was, a management of about 15, So I was saying that we've started experiencing management exits since 2022. In 2023, 36% of them left. In 2024, where we are reviewing the operation, we had 76% of them left the service. So virtually, only about 15-20% of the current management were those who have been in service in management since 2022. So it's a rapid turnover. In 2025, we still expect that more will leave. So this has created some problems for us, and this has necessitated that we needed to invest a little more in capacity building to build a new generation of customs that will run the service in the next 15, 20 years. And that's why we are taking on projects like the university project. We are still committed to running our command and staff programs. We are exposing our officers to command and leadership training in established institutions in different parts of the world. I had already mentioned the volatility of the exchange rates. This is a very big challenge for us, and most of the time, people really don't understand that this goes beyond customs. The law stipulates that the apex bank determines the exchange rate for the conduct of international trade. So what we are doing to mitigate that challenge is to engage with them and to see if we can get rates that we can deploy over a longer period of time. Thank you.
How many questions do you have? Because we're really
Okay, so let's just quickly take those two, as long as they are not related to the previous ones. Suggestions or advice. Number one, the system of the automation of the IDEC project, our process has started. For us, the process should be automated end to end, and it should bring into consideration all the stakeholders, from finance to customs to the beneficiaries. The process has started. Ministry of Finance has started the process, and the sanity that we're enjoying now, when we compare it to previous years, can be attributed to the automation of the process. People now apply online and things like that, but that process should be from one end to the other, because customs is part of it. The second is that I would want a situation in which customs is consulted, carried along in the process, so that we will have a say. We deal with these importers, we deal with these exporters, we have their profile, we know those who collect and do not use them. So I would advocate more involvement of customs in this. I think the third one is related. Have you paid from your production? How many Nigerians have you employed? You know, these are the kind of things that we can do to follow up the implementation. Revenue, what was the second question? Auction. I don't have the figures here, but from the revenue performance that I gave to you, there are so many hundred heads, you know, in the revenue head. So auction will be such an intangible part of it, and that was why we did not feature it, but it is part of what goes by all the agencies of government, and those that are non-federation, for example, those that we collect on behalf of other agencies of government, some levies, some of those. So imports, what we collect as auction are fees. Those in the ports, goods that we auction have occupied time, space over a long period of time. It renders our ports uncompetitive. So we need to free up space so that incoming imports can have, you know, space for them to operate, and then before we clear them. So a number of all of this was still in our ports, and this was the major reason why we sought a presidential approval late 2023 to remove over 5,000 containers. These are ports, these are boxes that have stayed in the port, some of them for 10 years. Unfortunately, some of these consignment belongs, you know, they are meant for government projects, one government projects or the other. So many tiers of governments, so many interventions that government was doing, and yet those containers were there. So the intention was to, as much as possible, get those things out of the port. One of the things we also auction, for example, is seized petroleum products. You know that petroleum products are very, very volatile. We cannot afford to keep them in our warehouses as we can keep, you know, bags of rice or some of these other seizures. So as quickly as possible, once we seize them, we sell them below market prices. Below market prices. So the objectives of auction usually is not about revenue. I abandoned my lunch because I wanted to address this press briefing in good time. With your permission, I will say thank you to all of you for making it a date with us. And as I pledge for your support, continuous support in 2025. I must particularly express gratitude for making my PRO, making his work to come out, to be appreciated, and he received a number of awards in 2024. Journalists, please put a round of applause for the PRO. And I think this has to do with the quality of his press statements and, of course, the engagement that he has done with you. I want to enjoin that these partnerships should continue in 2025. He has not submitted his program yet. I'll be looking forward to it to see how it can be more engaged towards you, and so that whatever gaps that has existed between us in the past, we would be able to address them. Finally, also in the line with that, I'm also conscious of the fact that you reached out to me towards the end of Q4 2024, and I made a commitment that we are going to be in this together. I want to assure you that I have not left that commitment. We will look out for an appropriate structure through which we can flesh in whatever program and intervention that we are going to do for the members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm who have been supporting us over the years. I thank you.